But yeah, there's lots of different ways to do the barb. Why is it every time we do a video? Look at this, man. I think it's Putin. He's turned my internet off. Wow. We're spinning and not spinning at the same time.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another video. Today we're going to take a look at the Whirlwind Barb, the Spin to Win, which is probably going to be the Barb's best key farm and bounty build for Season 26, Echoing Nightmares. Now nothing really has changed. It's going to be a refresher video, refresher course, showing you how I would play the Barb to get those keys and bounty mats, talk about some changes that we can make. There's lots of different options with the Barb, which is good. But before we do go through all of that, as always guys, a thumbs up does brighten my day. And let me know in the comments, are you going to start the Barb next season, or is Inner just going to be too much of a draw for you? You know, Inner Monk going to be absolutely phenomenal out the box. Marauder DH as well is going to be pretty strong. But Barb, I think, definitely a very strong start. And Whirlwind, whilst not S tier for key farm builds, we'll talk about that when we go and do the run. It is still pretty good, and I still think this is probably going to be better than Raycore, albeit we will do a Raycore T16 guide fairly soon. Raycore will push probably better than Whirlwind. Again, we'll kind of have to see how that plays out, but it probably will speed farm better than Whirlwind. So GRs, I think, are probably going to be Raycore. Keys, bounties, probably going to be Whirlwind, and then your highest push on the Barb. I'd like to sort of see how that goes. Right, let's have a quick jump in. Now, early on, you're going to take, well, I mean, this is the build I'd recommend. I was going to say early on you take this, but it's easy to set up, I think, is what I'm getting at. So we're going to take the full 6 pieces of the Wrath of the Waste, so we don't need a Rogue and we don't need a Crimsons, so that's pretty nice. Basically, the way that the Whirlwind set works, the Wrath of the Waste, 2, 4 and 6 piece all give Rend damage. This is all about Rend. Now, the Ambo's Pride will apply Rend when you hit with Whirlwind, so this mighty weapon, once you get it in the cube, whenever you tag with your Whirlwind, you're applying Rend. So the 2, 4 and 6 piece all provide damage. Dust Devil runes we don't care about. Whirlwind damage we don't care about. You don't need to roll that on your boots. You don't need to roll that on your helm. You do want Rend damage on your chest plate, and you do want Rend damage on your shoulders. You're also going to take a Lamentation Belt. This will allow Rend to stack more times and also do more damage. Now, once you've got your 6 pieces of Whirlwind and you've got your Ambo's Pride and your Lamentation, that's pretty much it for the absolute essentials of a Whirlwind Barb. There's many different ways to play this, lots of different things you can do with the weapons. My personal pick always is the bul-kathos blades, and the reason for this is because they generate fury, so they make it very, very easy. So as you Whirlwind, you'll consume fury. This, if you think about it, is like your gas tank. Gas prices obviously at the moment are going sky high, and like with anything, when you run out of gas, you can't really do anything. So when this goes down to 0, you won't be able to Whirlwind, and life will suck. But if you do take the bul-kathos blades, they generate quite a lot of fury on their own. They do also give you a increased attack speed and move speed. The move speed is particularly nice. So that's the way I would do it. You can take Ambos on the character. You can put it here in the left hand slot. That will count for your weapon when you look at your passives. That would count as a mighty weapon. You could then take something like an Echoing Fury Mace in the other hand for more move speed. That would allow you to open up the cube for like a Messerschmitt's Reaver or a Furnace, but I do think this is the way to go because I just like easy, I like fast, and that, yeah, seems to suit me. In terms of other damages, we've got a Taeguk, so we get more damage as we spin round. This is a 150. Bear in mind that, you know, you should be able to get 120 fairly comfortably next season, so it's not going too much further with that, with the 150, but there are ways of putting more damage into this, which again we'll talk about later. Same for the Bane of the Trapped, so whenever something gets close range to you, which is all the time with Whirlwind, you deal a lot more damage. Again, it's a 150, but 120 plus should be no real problem for you next season. In terms of damage, we've also got Stone of Jordan. I like this for key farm and bounty builds because it just adds that like flat layer of damage. It doesn't matter what element you run, whether it's fire, lightning, physical, cold. Just as long as you match your braces and ideally your amulet, then that is a nice little combo. I prefer it to the Convention of Elements because the Convention of Elements does nothing unless you're on the correct rotation, which generally is going to be physical for your Rend Bloodbath. I think that probably is it for damage. We have got ourselves rubies because we're going for the gold wrap belt, the Boon of the Hoarder combo. Follower is going to have the Avarice band, so we are going to be immortal once we kill something. We're going to have insane armor, so we don't need to worry about toughness, so we can stack damage in the chest and in the trousers. Other than that, I think we've got some move speed bits and bobs. So the Larceny Ring, whenever we hit, we've got a 5% chance to fear. This will give us a move speed boost, which is nice. We've got the Warsashen Arm Guard, so whenever we destroy an object, we get a move speed boost. We've got the Boon of the Hoarder, which again offers us a move speed boost. So all those things are pretty nice. If you do find yourself quite high on damage, because we're not using the main stat Paragon here, still fairly high at 14k, but bear in mind with those 125 orgs you're going to get on pretty much everything straight away, you will get to this figure very fast. You'll probably even surpass it very fast. But yeah, you can put some more damage in, and if you can get this figure up and you can get your damage up, you might find that maybe the Taeguk or the Trapped could be subbed out for a Wreath of Lightning for just a little bit more move speed. I think that covers the damage. We've done some move speed. Hellfire Amulet is a good option here simply because Barb has just got so many passives that are really cool for damage, really cool for speed. You don't have to have a Hellfire. Any double crit amulet will be absolutely hunky-dory. You could do a Squirts for shield pylons to get a bit more damage. Just bear in mind you won't keep up your Squirts bonus. Even if you've got insanely high armor from Gold Wrap, it will drop if you get hit, unless you take a Gizzard Gem or some, to give you a shield basically, and that seems like a little bit of a waste. The last item we've got is the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac. This is helping out with cooldown, so whenever we strike with Whirlwind, we get 1 second off our abilities. In this particular build, we've gone for Ignore Pain and Wrath of the Berserker, which are on cooldowns. This is very swappable, so again, we will talk about that. There is something you can change this one for, but it's there for cooldown, which is pretty good. So in terms of rolls, cooldown on your gloves and shoulders would be great. Obviously I don't have cooldown on here, but it would be better to have rend and cooldown. For your weapons, definitely you want cooldown. You don't need any attack speed anywhere, so don't roll that. Percent damage doesn't matter terribly much. Cooldown definitely your number one stat on the weapons, because remember the 10% damage, you're having to take 2 rolls to get 10% damage on either weapon, if you see what I mean. Right, I think that's probably about it for the info. So let's have a look at the skills. We've got Battle Rage, Ferocity here, just simply for the move speed. It does give us a little bit of extra damage as well. Whirlwind Hurricane, this is the rune that will suck enemies towards us, and the reason we can take this one rather than Wind Shear, gaining a Fury point whenever we strike, is because we're doing the bul-kathos blades. If you're not doing the bul-kathos blades, generally you're going to want to run Wind Shear. Again, that's kind of up to you. You just need to balance your Fury out. Ignore Pain, Bravado, here simply for the 40% move speed. Something that I do play around with and do swap in and out sometimes is Threatening Shout with Terrify. This is simply because it is a on-demand fear proc, so your barb goes roar and shouts and everything will basically flee in fear. A little bit annoying, but it does activate the move speed, so you can go for that for move speed there. Wrath of the Berserker, Insanity, 50% damage increase, as well as all the kind of move speed, crit chance bonuses, stuff like that. Sprint Marathon is a little bit of on-demand speed boost, 40% for 4 seconds. Does cost 20 Fury, so if you really hammer the spamming, you can deplete your Fury. That's kind of why I've got the passive set up the way that I have, but again, that's something to bear in mind, a bit more move speed. And then Rend Bloodbath, this does the damage. You can leave Rend off the bar and you'll simply get an unruned Rend, but Bloodbath does so much damage. I've just found that at like the kind of lowish, well, I'll say lowish Paragon 14k main stat, it just is a lot smoother with the Rend on. But if you do want to put on something for move speed, then as we say, the Threatening Shout Falter could be kind of good. Another potential swap is Furious Charge on for possibly Ignore Pain, possibly Sprint Marathon. This allows you to zip from target to target, but bear in mind it does have a cooldown and more Zodiac procs go into this. If you go for Merciless Assault and you're hitting enough enemies, you can get it to replenish. That's kind of up to you. Passives wise, bul-kathos 100% mandatory. You want as much uptime on Wrath of the Berserker as possible. I really like Rampage for the stacking strength effect. Again, the higher your main stat, the more value you're getting out of this, because it's obviously on a percentage basis. 25% strength increase on 10k is a lot more than on 5k, and it's, you know, not as much on 20k. So obviously the more main stat you get, the better this works. Now the other two that we've got here, Brawler and Berserker Rage, this is the max damage setup. So this is like more damage for enemies within 12 yards. This is extra damage when you're near max fury. Now I like actually running it like this with Unforgiving, which generates fury naturally for us, and also the other one that does fury, where are we? Weapon Master. So Mighty Weapons 2 Fury Pit. This I think is the absolute chillest, easiest way to play, because you're never going to have any fury problems. Some people will say this is overkill and that you should be swapping one of them off, or both of them off. Totally up to you. And Pound of Flesh, which we've got on our Hellfire Amulet, is going to give us some nice move speed. So, you know, lots of, you know, we've got 5, 6, 7 passives that we've shown you already, which, you know, are very, very helpful. Don't bother taking the cheat death, because the follower can handle that. Again, I know a lot of people later on in the game play the Barb without the gold wrap, in which case you may want to pick some more defensive options, like possibly Relentless. For if you eat an explosion to the face, you'll be able to kind of tank it out a little bit more. Tough as Nails, Superstition. But honestly, I think these are the way to go for the super easy. You know, no run out of fury, and then you can maybe swap one of them off if you like, for a bit more damage. I think that probably covers everything that we want to talk about for the T16. So let's just jump in and show that it does work. You know, obviously some of these pieces are quite nice, because this is just kind of stuff that I've kept over various different seasons. But the basic idea is we go in, we just bash all the buttons. Now we can just hold down right click, and basically we've got on my thumb button, I've got the extra speed up from Sprint Marathon, so I just pop that every so often, and then you could even numlock your Ignore Pain and Wrath of the Berserker if you wanted. But again, obviously the Zodiac's efficiency probably is working when you're not overly refreshing those. I've done it again. I always do this. I've forgotten to show you the follower, because the setup, I'd say probably is a little important to go over. But it is all the kind of usual stuff. We've got the Avarice Band on the follower, which is how we get the pickup radius to pick up all of the gold goodies. We've got the Nemesis Braces, so that we can do the extra elites from pylons. We of course have the Flavor of Time, so that we have the double pylon duration, which is super handy. Gloves of Worship. We've got a Rogue, because we're taking 2-piece canes, which is going to be the boots and pants, because 100% we need in the Broken Crown for next season, because the limiting factor for next season definitely is going to be gems, because the way that the augments are going to work next season with the Whispers of Atonement, you're gonna have tons of gems to slap on for augments, so you're actually going to be dry on pieces to put them on, I'm anticipating, and also gems. So Broken Crown for the follower, very important. Now this is not an S tier build for keys. It's still decent, so A tier, but the reason it's not S tier is because whilst it whilst it is AoE, sorry, it is not a big AoE, so it's not going to wipe the screen like Wave of Light would do, like Multi-Shot would do. You know, even Aegis of Valor, you can get some pretty decent AoE out of a Crusader. So for that reason, it's just not going to be the top tier, because even though you can make this very fast, you know, even if you put in the Wreath of Lightning, it goes faster again. It's ooh, goblin. Yeah, it's just not going to be the absolute top build. One piece of advice is that you want to basically be melting everything. If it's not dying pretty much almost instantly or within like a split second of being tagged by Whirlwind, then you know you're not doing enough damage, and you're gonna have to take some course of action to put a little bit more damage in. And if you're having to track back to wipe stuff up, then definitely you're not doing enough damage. That's more likely to be of a concern if, let's say, you are trying to do the Wreath of Lightning, or you're trying to take off the Rend off the bar. That'll be your kind of like you know, your signal that you're trying to push it a little too hard, a little too early. Right, I know that sometimes the max roll doesn't always work on season opens, so that is the follower setup as we went through. Token of Invulnerability and the Cheat Death are the way that I go, and all the rest of the stuff I think we talked about. Cord of the Sherma you don't really need, it does the AoE blind, and the gold skin does allow for some extra gold to be gobbled up. If we look at the character, I'd normally like to try and stack gold find in a season. Obviously this build I haven't bothered, it's only about 11k, 12k. You know, normally speaking you want that figure up a lot, but next season, because of the way the Whispers of Atonement work, because you're going to get a lot of augments through those, Empowering Greater Rifts possibly is the least important it's ever been next season, so maybe you don't want to sweat the gold. But as you build it, you would be looking for pickup radius gold on secondaries to try and improve things a little bit. Now, if we turn our attention to the bounty build, again, I think bounties are going to be more important this season than they have been last. Arguably the most important ever, because again, we're going to get so many augments. It's going to be advantageous to have lots of ancient pieces for you to aug out. You're going to have more legendary gems to put on stuff than ever before. So, you know, let's say you want to play multiple classes. The fastest way to do your ancient items is going to be to do bounties. Now, again, it's not an S tier bounty build. It's a better bounty build Whirlwind, I think, than it is a key build. Just because bounties, the density's not there, it's kind of harder to fly around as much with things like Ingeum. I still would probably be playing Monk, I think, for my bounties next season, but you know, as a start off, this is pretty good. Now, the main key with the bounties is obviously we're not going to take the gold wrap because you're not always going to have gold. You might be doing a boss, there might be interrupt mechanics. The density makes it harder to rely on the gold wrap for toughness, so we take that out and we put in the Band of Might, so we get 80% damage reduction when we do Furious Charge. So we've taken out some move speed because the Larceny Ring is gone. We've replaced that with an Avarice. That is just to pick up gold whilst you're doing bounties. Again, if you're not bothered about gold and bounties, you can either put the Larceny Ring back here for the move speed, or you could do yourself a Ring of Royal Grandeur, and that would allow you to pop on the Broken Crown on the helm, or maybe put the Lamentation in here and then do a Crimson's type setup, which would be kind of handy because we do obviously have to manage the toughness a little bit in bounties. And we do that mostly with the Mortix Brace, so this is another 50% damage reduction because Wrath of the Berserker gains every rune, which includes Striding Giants, which reduces damage by 50%. In terms of skills and passives, one thing I should mention actually is we're swapping onto diamonds. Again, just trying to keep ourselves tough and tanky for bounties. Again, you know, no real kind of main stat on there. In terms of the skills, Ruthless becomes a little bit more important in bounties because you will have to fight bosses, so this extra damage on low health enemies can be kind of nice. And then Berserker Rage I've got on here, but again, any of those choices that we went over earlier would be pretty good. You know, again, if you find he's running out of Fury, Weapons Master or Unforgiving, you know, you could swap those two off. Again, it depends on the kind of power level of your character, but some kind of combination of those things putting together is going to be the way forward. Now, what a lot of people do for bounties is they'll just simply, they won't bother doing a broken crown. They'll put something like Mantle of Channeling here, or they'll do a rogue setup where you've got the Lamentation here, rogue in one of these two slots, you know, rogue instead of Stone of Jordan even maybe, and then the Crimson's belt and either boots or trousers. What they'll do is when they kill a boss, before they open the chest, they'll pop the broken crown on. The bonus will be active when the chest is opened, and you'll get the double gems. I personally like playing with the broken crown on all the time, because you never know when you're going to come across a gem goblin, and the game will sometimes, you know, if you're opening chests just as you're going out and about, sometimes you're going to get gems. And you know, let's say somebody finds a goblin portal to the Rainbow Realm, again, broken crown, you're going to want to be able to use it, because obviously if you're doing this and you don't have the rogue, well, you're going to lose your 6-piece bonus. Doesn't matter if you're just opening chests, but does matter if you're looking to try and kill enemies to get gold. So let's just jump into an 81, which is about the equivalent of a T16 bounty. And we'll try and not take any pylons because that'll screw it up. But as you can see, damage is absolutely fine. You're murdering this with absolutely no problem. And yeah, provided you keep up your Band of Might, you won't really have any toughness problems. Other move speed options are, we do have the Chenalix Chain, which you can run with the Warcry. You know, I've messed about with that a little bit. Again, we don't have the Zodiac in this bounty build, so we don't have the perma uptime on the Wrath of the Berserker. So again, that's something you could consider. If it bothers you not having the perma uptime, you could drop the Average Band or the Stone of Jordan for the Zodiac. You know, basically there's lots of different ways to do the Whirlwind Barb. I've forgotten, I said I wasn't going to take pylons. But yeah, there's lots of different ways to do the barb. Why is it every time we do a video? Look at this, man. I think it's Putin, he's turned my internet off. Wow, we're spinning and not spinning at the same time. Anyway, I'm sure you got the idea from that. I hope that was enough footage for you to satisfy yourselves that it is indeed a good bounty build. I've been Filthy Casual. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy, guys. Peace.